Today, I'm in conversation with the fun and vivacious Roni Travis. Roni is a health and lifestyle transformation coach with a decade of experience in the fitness and health industry. Roni and I had such a great conversation about how she got started as a business owner. She started her own journey chasing a number on the scale, only to discover that true happiness lies in loving and nurturing our bodies from within. Now she's on a mission to help other women embrace the skin they are in and redefine what it means to feel good by prioritizing well being over numbers on a scale. In this episode, we talked about experimenting and learning how to market our services. What she shares about sharing client testimonials is nothing new, yet, many of us make the mistake of just posting the testimonials on our feed. She talks about the kind of content and testimonials that gets her people reaching out to work with her. Just as all of us introverts do, she also struggled with content creation at first. But that is no longer a struggle of hers, and she shares how she got to this place. We talked about embodying your results, being your own hype person, and more in this conversation. There's a lot for you to walk away with in terms of both mindset shifts and strategy. So let's dive right into it.
Welcome to the Impactful Introvert Podcast. I'm your host, Seema Pateel, an introverted business coach and a mom of two. My genius shines in helping introverted women map out a simple and sustainable marketing strategy tailored to their goals and introverted personalities. Every week, I'll share with you how you can simplify your marketing so that it is sustainable. After all, you started your business to serve clients and make an impact, not to master marketing. So, let's jump right in. Hey, Ronnie, welcome to the Impactful Introvert Podcast. You are a health and fitness coach. You're an introvert yourself. I am so excited to hear about your journey on how you got started so that our listeners can see how, as a health and fitness coach and as a business owner, an introvert can shine and have a successful business. Please let our listeners know a little bit about yourself and your business.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, so I started my business a little over 3 years ago. I was working in a gym at the time, and I had actually just moved across the country. So getting the job at the gym was something that I wasn't really wanting to do. I had been working for myself previously, but I just wanted to meet people. And, as an introvert, meeting people can be challenging. So I thought if I was at work, it would be easy to meet people. So I did. I made, a couple, a handful of friends at that job. But yeah, I quit about 3 years ago and have been working full time for myself ever since. And it's been fun. It's been learning a lot, growing a lot, and allowing myself to continually be open to learning. I find that is one of the skill sets of being an entrepreneur, is being open to learn and continuing to take action. And yeah, so I've been doing that for, like I said, 3 years, and on my own health and fitness journey for like 10 years. So it's something that I don't really think about anymore. Hence why, I'm able to coach people on it, because it comes, more naturally to me now, and I have a lot of experience in it. But yeah, so right now I'm just working on becoming the healthiest, happiest, and richest version of myself, and helping my clients do the same.
Haven't we all gone to a place or looked for friends in the gym, in the grocery store, at work, especially as introverts? Like, yes, we are the ones trying to avoid eye contact, but we are also the ones who are looking for friends because we are overthinking everything. And we do that even in our business. Like, marketing can be so simple, but we think, how do I find clients? Oh, how do I build relationships? Or how do I meet people? I want to know your journey, as like when you first started. What did you do to sign clients so that it felt more aligned? Like, I know we have all heard about not wanting to cold message people or cold email people. Like, what have been what have been the strategies that worked for you and didn't feel like you were trying to, like, nails on chalkboard?
Yeah. So what was interesting is the gym I was at, they wanted us to cold call people. Can you imagine having to call people at their
Oh god,
home?
no.
Yeah, it was brutal. So, anyways, I was super happy to get away from that, and I wanted nothing to do with that. And what I started doing was I realized, looking back, when I started, I had no idea what marketing was or how to do it properly. But what I did was I just would start sharing about my results. I started doing some live trainings, right? I would do workshops, and then I pitched my beta, right? And I just told people that I was doing this, and it kind of worked out well for me because I had a solid base of people who I had worked with in person, who I had helped when I lived back on the other side of the country. So when I was back home and I moved, all of these people were like, "Oh, great, you're doing something online. I want to join it." And I had, like, kind of already helped myself with getting my past clients' results because people wanted to keep going. And then as I got more into it and started growing, it was really just about sharing my client results, learning to share my stories and have people come to me. Because, like you said, as introverts, I don't want to be going out to other people and asking them if they want to come and join. And in the beginning, I really didn't want to do sales calls, right? Getting on calls with people, again, it was too much. So it would work where people would, they'd send me a message and we'd be easy enough and get in. And that was pretty much how I started. And I joke, I was just talking about this with one of my entrepreneur friends, that I don't even know how I closed clients in the beginning because I had like no real strategy. It was more so one of those things that I just knew what I wanted and I believed in what I was selling. And I think that when you believe in what you're selling, the strategy, even if it's not really there, will work so much better. So I would say that believing in myself and just continuing to show up every single day was what allowed me to get started in that very beginning piece.
Yes, that's such a important aspect of having offers. It's not about signing clients, it's about helping them see that this is the thing that will solve their problem. Like when we are so focused on the aspect of signing clients, the pressure is all on us or on trying to impress rather than focusing on how am I helping the person who needs help. So that is such a great aspect of believing in your offer. Um, I want you to explain a little bit by what you mean by believing in whatever you have to offer. Like, what were the thoughts you had, and how were you expressing them?
So, like I said, this kind of came from years of in-person training where I knew I was good at what I did, right? Like I'm one of those people who, when I want to do something, I'm going to learn how to do it and I'm going to practice, I'm going to put the time in. So I went to school, I graduated, I got certifications, I learned everything that I possibly could about health, nutrition, the body. And when I started working with clients, they got amazing results. And people's, like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, they just lost some weight. Their whole lives were changing, right? They felt better about themselves, their relationships were better, they were happier, and they were so grateful. So for me, I all I had to do was lean on, like, seeing people's lives change. And when I put that into my marketing, saying all these things of that, of how much their lives can change and focusing on them, that has been such a key. And it's one thing that I see a lot in entrepreneurs. It's that they get so focused on the numbers dictating their worth, right? On saying like, oh, I didn't get a client this month, so I'm not good enough. But if you can allow yourself to feel good enough now and to showcase that, to show people how you can help them, that's what makes all the difference in your content and has people reaching out to you, right? And it was just, like I said, learning to really believe that what I was selling was going to change lives. And the more I believed it, the more other people naturally did.
Yes. And the more you believe it, the way you speak about it is going to be so different when compared to you just have to, like, the biggest problem with meeting people is you're thinking that you're going with an agenda to sell. But if you're just trying to meet a new person and get to know them, then the sales idea is not going to mess up your energy. It's the same when you're trying to pitch. When you think about pitching, you're trying to think that you're convincing the other person, but that is not the truth. You're just sharing your how passionately you feel about the outcome. And the other thing that you said was Your clients' entire life was impacted. It was not just that they lost a few inches or lost a few pounds, or many of the things that health coaches I have noticed are focused on in their content. It's the overall transformation that is also essential. Like when you're talking about your offer, you don't just have to say that I can help you lose 10 pounds. You also have to show that these 10 pounds, which have been weighing on your mind, not just your body, can create such an amazing effect overall. And I'm very sure that your potential clients saw themselves in the transformed version. um, I want to hear about how much of content marketing was a part of your marketing. Was it like, were you creating a lot of content, a little bit of content? How were you using social media? As an introvert, I know we can overthink and overanalyze all of these aspects. Please share your experience.
So I will say it was challenging getting started on social media. Like as a business owner online, you need to do it, right? You need a social media presence, but it wasn't something that I wanted to do. And I had a lot of resistance to it in the beginning, but it got to the point where I just realized that I needed to, and my desire to grow my business outweighed my fear of being seen, you know? So I would just start, and I just started posting like once a day, right? It was like once a day on my personal page, maybe once a day in my group, like very small, and just getting started very slowly. Like I create so much content now that it's gotten easier, right? Like over the years you just naturally create more, and it's so much easier to flow because you like, I've created this internal safety, which I think is huge for everybody who's creating content online, but especially introverts, right? Learning to kind of create that safety in yourself has really helped me be able to show up online. And now I laugh because I thought that like posting like 5 times a week on Facebook was a lot. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, there's so much content going out all the time. But yeah, in the beginning, there wasn't a lot of posts, but I just, like I said, I didn't realize that I needed to post more at the start.
Yeah, such amazing points. You brought out this very important point that your desire to have a successful business was so much greater than the resistance to not show up online, which is very important. All of the messaging that you can see is, don't do social media or don't create content if it's not feeling aligned. If you have to push hard, then it's not necessarily aligned. And there is some truth to it. I am not at all going to deny, because we are all not exactly the same. But you also have to understand that doing something new can trigger you. And if you're overthinking, overanalyzing, if you're an anxious person, even driving can feel very scary. But I don't see people saying, oh, don't drive if you're not aligned. So it's like, it's the same thing. You just have to push through the fear. I used to be freaked out when I first started driving, especially given that I I was driving in India first and then driving in the US, which is the exact opposite of everything. So I used to fear, like, what if I go in the wrong lane? And that thought would keep me from feeling comfortable. Had I
Right.
said, oh no, 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 this is not aligned, I would never be driving. That is the reality. It's the same for your business. If you think creating content is hard, yes, it is very hard because you have no experience of it. And I think the harder aspect is not because content itself is hard to come about. I think it was mainly your experience and the growth that you saw, more work with people that helped you feel inspired and motivated to speak about aspects that were going to help the people who were looking for help. Do you think that to be true?
Totally. I think, and that's how I create content now, right? Is through my clients and experiences, and just through things that people will say to me, right? In everyday conversations. I think what's funny is in the beginning, you said it a few times now, but it's like I definitely was overthinking my content, where content is really just like your life, right? Like when you are living your business and you have the results that you sell and you're teaching people, every time you teach somebody, that's a moment to create a piece of content. Every time anything happens, it's definitely a moment to create content. And the more you are living your life and working with people and working with yourself, the easier it gets to create content. But I wanted to just touch on what you said about, we're afraid to do things out of alignment. And it's something that I find with, everybody's looking for that aligned path to success and it gets to be easy. And it's like, okay, it gets to be easy when you do the challenging stuff first, right? Like if running a business was easy, it's cliche, but everyone would do it. Everyone would do it. So it wouldn't be special anymore, And I love that you said that because I don't think enough business coaches or entrepreneurs talk about that anymore. We've kind of gotten a little soft where it's like, oh no, it should be easy. No, it shouldn't, right? Like it gets to be challenging because the challenge is what helps you become the next person who's capable of your goals. So I just wanted to say that I loved that you said that, and it's more people. I just wanted to make sure people really heard it because it's so powerful.
Yes, and I don't know why we forget as adults that since childhood we have been challenged, and that is what has helped us grow into, no, my kids hate homework, and it doesn't matter how much they hate the homework or me because of enforcing, I make them do homework, even if it's not being given by school, because that attitude of being challenged and overcoming, that is what creates self-confidence. And people keep saying, I want to be more confident so that I can be visible. But without doing the challenging things, you cannot gain the self-confidence. So that is so very true. And I love this aspect when you said that you're talking about your day to day makes it a lot more easier to create content. It's less of trying to create that one piece that will bring all of your clients. I mean, every introvert's dream, I think every entrepreneur's dream is to have just one post that brings all of the clients. And I see that this desire is, I wouldn't want to say being exploited, but that is kind of how it feels when I because I'm seeing a lot of one post or four posts, or you pick a number, like they are trying to make it seem manageable, but for that one post to come, you have to write at least 100, which is there sitting, which is helping you grow, your audience mentally grow and connect with you, etc. So many amazing points over here. And I want to hear about your experience of marketing, how it has grown from when you started 3 years ago to what is it that you're doing that is making it feel easy now, but wasn't very easy when you started.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I was trying to do it right. And it was exactly what you said. I was trying to create the perfect post that would get everybody to buy. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure on one post. So I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to do it. But also back then, I didn't have a strategy, right? I didn't know the psychology behind why people buy or how to help them overcome objections or do any of those things. I was just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it was going to stick, And I was definitely sharing client results, but that was about the extent of it. And I think the biggest difference now is that one, I'm a little bolder when I share my results, like I allow myself to really embody the result, to own the result and to put that out there. But it's also the piece of I'm more myself now, right? Like back then I was trying to market how all the other fit trainers are doing it. I need to do it this way. And now I'm allowing myself to really be me and market in a way that is still following the psychological boxes, right? I'm helping them along the way. I'm building that desire, helping them overcome objections, but I'm doing it in a way that I am able to be myself, which allows me to attract clients who are more aligned with me, right? So in the beginning, I was attracting any and everybody, and now my clients are just better people for me personally to work with. And like I said, the more that I learn about psychology, the more I learn about sales, the more, I'm able to put that into my posts. But I think one of the biggest differences is just learning to be bolder and reminding myself that, the fact that one post isn't the be all and end all actually takes the pressure off, right? I get to make a bunch of posts, and each post is going to warm somebody up a little bit more. So I know that I'm not afraid to put out, multiple posts in a day, because I know that they're all doing their own job. So I definitely create more content now, but it feels easier and it's more aligned with who I am. And it's it's not cookie cutter content anymore, right? It's not the same content that everybody else is posting. It's really me. So that's been one of the biggest shifts in that.
Honestly, you have had the typical journey. And I know as business coaches, we have made it hard for newer entrepreneurs to have this typical journey by our messaging. But it is so important to have those throw the spaghetti on the wall, because that is what helps you learn and grow. So I want everyone to, from this podcast, I want everyone to take away that it's okay to throw spaghetti on the wall. You're not doing it wrong. You're just trying things, and business is all about trying things. It's not about doing it right. Yes, when you work with someone, you have a better chance of doing it right for you, but it's not guaranteed. And that's the reason why people feel so hesitant about hiring a business coach now, after a few years of having coaches constantly say, if you're not doing it my way or using my strategy, framework, or whatever, you're probably doing it wrong. And that has eaten away at a little bit of self confidence for people. So I want you to understand, this is for the listeners, that I want them to understand that it is okay to throw stuff at the wall and learn. You brought up talking about client results and own the results. I want you to talk a little bit about this, mainly because I know this is what I have done myself. So I know it's a very common thing, especially among the newer entrepreneurs, where the client gives a testimonial and we just paste it everywhere we possibly can because we are supposed to share client results. But I want you to take our listeners through your thoughts about what in terms of client results helped your potential clients see that you were the right person for them.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is it's not just sharing the client result, right? It's allowing your prospects to see how this client result is possible for them. And the way that I do this is by telling a story, right? So I talk about where the client was before. So I'll tell them how when this client came to me, she was working out 5-6 days a week on a really strict diet, and she just couldn't even manage to lose more than 2 pounds, right? And I would go into how she was feeling. And what that's doing is it's allowing people to relate. Because then when people are reading that, they're like, oh my gosh, I've done that, where I was on a really strict diet, working out that much. And this way, I'm not poking them in their pain, but I'm helping them see somebody who is just like them. So then when I tell the story and I say, this is what we did, and now she's down 20 pounds, she feels amazing, and she looks in the mirror and loves what she sees, people are like, oh my gosh, this could happen for me. So it's not just sharing the testimonials, it's doing it in a way that helps people see that it's possible for them too, right? And I find when we only share the win and we don't share where that person was before, then your potential clients don't get to see how it can work for them, right? They just see a result and they go, oh, that's nice for them, right? But that could never happen for me. But when you allow yourself to go into it and go deeper, that's when people really see it. And it's also like that piece of being bold. I think what's funny is we all have this thing of wanting to be humble. We want to be humble, but if you look at any successful entrepreneur, they have to brag on their results a little bit. And that's really what marketing is, right? And it's not in a I'm better than you way, but it's bragging in a way that says, hey, these results are amazing. Like, I can help you get them. Do you want them? If you're humble and you're like, it's kind of okay. People don't want that, right? So it's getting over that piece, which again, I know as introverts, being bold and like bragging on your results can feel very uncomfortable. But the more you learn to do it, the more your business is going to grow and the more people you get to help. So that's been a really big eye opener for me.
You brought up being bold multiple times now, and I've been wanting to touch upon that. But yes, it is so important to be your own hype person in the privacy so that you can show up, but also in public so that others can see your brilliance. Because honestly, this has been my experience even in the workplace where you cannot just do your work and expect your manager to notice. Like, that used to happen probably in school, never beyond that. When I was not showing up, even in the review, it is just my manager and me. I had to say how amazing my contribution was, because when I didn't do that, my manager post review says, "You did a good job, Seema, but you didn't own it. You have to own your brilliance." And that is what that is what has to be visible in marketing. Nobody else is doing that for you until you start doing it. Yes, having raving fans and clients, all of that is amazing, but until you reach the state of having those people talking you up, you have to do it yourself. Otherwise, you will be the best kept secret.
That's very true. I love the way that you said that.
I want you to elaborate a little bit on being bold, because I know that can still feel a little vague and uncertain. So how did you start being bold? Was like, what helped you see that this is not working and this is what is working?
So the first step for me was learning to really embody the results that I have and just allowing myself to own it. And like you said, in the privacy of my own home, right? Nobody else is around. I can just feel it for myself. And the next piece of it was realizing that by playing small, I'm not helping anyone, right? And for me, every time that I've done something uncomfortable, it's just always because I'm able to look at where I want to go. And I'm like, okay, if I can just jump off this ledge, I'm going to get to the other side. And the other side has the success that I want. So it was starting small, right? Like practicing in a small thing, practicing in a small audience, and just allowing myself to even embody my results in my household, right? Like talking to my family, to my boyfriend, and just really owning and just like realizing that I barely, like, if I had a big win, I never even said it out loud. And just being able to say it out loud to another person was a huge part of being able to be bolder in my content, because things just sound different when you say them out loud, you know? And when I realized that I would have these big like goals, that I would meet them, but I couldn't even say it out loud. It was like, okay, well, no wonder I can't put it in my content. So I just started talking about it more in general, and that allowed me to be bolder in my content. But honestly, it was like the energetic piece of like, embodying my results, feeling that in my body, because the more you embody your own results, the bolder you feel. And like, your content isn't just about what you say, it's about how you feel when you say it. So when you are energetically embodying your results, it just sounds different, right? You just show up differently. And that's what's allowed me to step into that boldness a little more.
Yeah, and e- embodiment is so important. When you were talking, I was just thinking, yes, it becomes easier to be bold when you've been doing that thing and the results have been okay. This is how I want to put it. Like, when you say something and it happens, automatically you start feeling bold. Like my 10-year-old constantly says, "I'm always right," because every time any of us does something and she corrects us, she's like, "I'm always right." And that has been building her up. At first, she was saying it as a joke, but
Mhm.
then now she says it with so much confidence. That's the thing. What newer entrepreneurs have have trouble with being bold is that they haven't worked with a lot of clients, so they don't know that the results are possible. They just like they know the results are possible, but they don't have the tangible proof from all of and the number of proofs that they think is going to validate them as being good. That is what makes it hard for them to be bold. But we have to understand that just one person is a good enough place to get started to increase your confidence in stating that yes, you can do this, yes, I made this possible. It's not about lifting your ego up, but it's about talking about how you helped the other person get the result that you promised you would get. It is not that you did all of the work, especially as a fitness coach. I mean, you could say all day long, and if I didn't do it, then of course it's not going to work. It's not. You encouraged me, you guide me, but you can't do it for me. And I think coaches especially have a little bit of problem with this more than other service providers who do things, because you can't do the work for them.
Yeah. That part is challenging sometimes, for sure. Sometimes you just want to. You want to go over to their house, but it just becomes part of the strategy of learning how to motivate people to take action.
Yes, and it also helps you. Like when you find those clients who don't see success, it helps you realize what kind of person is going to see the success. It's not just about the person being able to pay you, because most new entrepreneurs are thinking, I just have to reach people who can pay, who have the money. But that's not that alone is not going to serve you or the client. It is going to eat away at your confidence. I can speak from experience. They give money and they don't do the work. It's going to eat away at your confidence. So how do you identify who your ideal client is? By throwing spaghetti at the wall, working with anybody who is willing to pay you in the beginning, because that is how you learn what is the kind of personality that will actually benefit from working with you. I want you to elaborate a little bit on how you got clear about your ideal clients. Like, what helped you say no? Did you have to say no to people? What helped you say no? How did you handle all of that?
So it was honestly in seeing the people who did get results, So I think that when people come through and you see the people who stick with it and who do get results, I started writing down what qualities they had, right? What kind of qualities they had, what kind of person they were, what words they used so that I could speak their language. And I just noticed that a lot of the people who got results had similar qualities. And this doesn't mean that those other people can't get results in other ways, but this for me was just reflecting and refining, right? Seeing that, okay, when I do this type of post, I get this type of person, and this type of person takes action. If I do this type of post, this type of person buys, and they don't take action. So I stopped doing those posts, right? And the more that I learned like I said, the biggest thing for me was I had to figure out that it wasn't just who I wanted to work with, it was who I best served. And again, the way that I figured this out was by noticing who got the best results from what I was doing, because I realized the type of person who responds best to me. So once I figured that out, I started just speaking more to those people. And yeah, I have told people no before, or I've just not pitched them, right? Whether it was on a sales call or in the DMs, I just left them. I was like, yeah, if you want to join my free group, here you go. If you want to do this, I would give them another resource. But it was just slowly learning that not everybody is going to be a good fit. And there are so many, how many billion people on this planet? Like, you don't need to be able to serve all of them in order to reach your goals. So I think we're so afraid of talking to one person that we think people aren't going to hear us. But when you're talking to everyone, no one can hear you. And that's when you get the mishmash of people. But when you can get very clear on what that person is, and it's like, even like, do they like coffee or tea? Are they a morning person or a night person? And the more clear you can get, I mean, of course, not everybody's going to be the same, but it just allows you to feel better about it And I find, again, it takes that sales pressure off, because you're in the sales conversation. You're not just looking at, is this person going to buy my thing? You're looking at, are they going to get results? Is this program going to help them, or service going to help them? And do I want to serve them? Which isn't a question I asked in the beginning. And now I do, because I realize that that's really important, right? You get to want to serve people, and you get to find out if they're going to be a good fit or not.
Yes, all so many great points. It is so important to become aware of who you are and start looking at people who will vibe with you, because when someone doesn't want to work with you or cannot work with you, it does not reflect badly upon you or the other person. It's just the relationship. Like even magnets, like attracts like repels like, and that is not wrong. The magnets are not wrong. It's just that they don't vibe. You have to understand, it's the same. Like Tony Robbins is a huge name, but even if I was invited for free for the thing that people pay thousands of dollars, I wouldn't go. Not because his program doesn't work, not because of whatever. It just doesn't, the message doesn't connect with me as strongly as it is connecting with the other people. And the message is right, the person is right, I am right, and still we are not a good fit. When we can understand this, it becomes easier to say no or hear no honestly, because fairly often the no is so demotivating that you don't want to pitch again, or you're afraid to show up again. And I don't want that to be your reality. You have to understand a no is no reflection of your ability to help. It's just that you didn't vibe.
Yeah, I think learning to not take no personally is huge for entrepreneurs, right? Like, once you realize it doesn't mean anything about you or your program, it's not that you're not good enough, it really changes everything, because it's just like, okay, on to the next one, right? You just are able to move on. And that is something that I've learned is very key in successful entrepreneurs, is they don't focus on the no's. They just immediately move on to, okay, what can I do? What's the next step?
Yes, and it's not an easy thing in the beginning. It's still, when you're saying move on, it doesn't mean that it didn't you didn't feel like, oh, I wish they had signed up if it felt like a right client, but you're not hung up on that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, and that's a better way to put it, for sure, because we're going to feel feelings. We're humans, right? If somebody, you want somebody to buy and whatever, and they don't, and I think it's not about not feeling that feeling, but you said it perfectly. It's about not letting that one person stop you from going on and serving the next, right? It's allowing yourself to keep going.
Yes, and this is kind of true in almost every aspect. It's not just that a potential client said no on a discovery call. It's also a negative review that you must have got. You have to see if that review is really worth staying there. Honestly, a negative review can be taken as I did bad, or it can be taken as I can improve. And if it was from some complete stranger who never even worked with you, you don't even have to pay attention. Yes, it hurts, it stings, but you have to move on. You have to look at what you can do better. That's all that you are, like, that's all that is in your control. So I've had a lot of fun talking to you, and I know I can keep going in this um, conversation. However, I'm curious, what would be one advice that you would go and give your early self if you could go back now?
I would tell myself to celebrate all of the wins now. I think is when it's like, as soon as you get started as an entrepreneur, everyone is immediately like, okay, I want 10K months. And it's like, I want more clients. And as soon as and I look back, and every time I hit one of those goals, I never took the time to celebrate it. And I immediately moved on to the next. And it left me in this place of never feeling good enough, you know? And I think that this journey would have been a lot more enjoyable, and probably I would have got to where I wanted to go a lot faster if I let myself celebrate all of those wins. And I think that one thing we forget is that wins aren't just, oh, a client closed, right? It can be, oh, I showed up for that sales call, and even though I was scared, right? I put the post out on Facebook even though I was scared. And it sounds so cliche, but the more you can positively reinforce and internally validate yourself, the better results you're going to get, because you're just going to feel better. And like I said, for the longest time, I just kept hitting goals and not like nothing changed. And the truth is nothing changes until you change. So allow yourself to feel all of your successes along the way, and know that even if you feel like there aren't any, there are. You just get to look for them a little bit harder.
So true, so true. Like enjoy the journey, not just the reaching the destination. So very true. And I can tell you from experience that marketing is not the journey that you can enjoy if if you're just looking at the goal. You have to enjoy, you have to create those points. You have to create those points where you can celebrate, because the results come after a lot of work. So very true. That's such a great point. That's such a great advice. I wish I want that for myself when I got started. Thank you so much for this. It was a lot of fun talking to you, Roni, today. Where can our listeners find you?
So I am on all the social medias, like I was saying, but I do have a private Facebook group. It is Fitness and Mindset Secrets to Become Attractive AF. I'll send you the link, and then you can link it there. But yeah, I post health and wellness and just, inspiration and motivational things in general in there, to help you live your healthiest, happiest, best life. So if you guys want to come and hang out, it's, like I said, it's a more intimate place than some of my other social medias. So it is definitely one of my favorite places to hang out.
Awesome. I'll put the links in the show notes. And I'm sure everybody who wants to get healthy and fit also needs the support. And honestly, there's no better coach than an introverted coach.
Totally.
So thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you so much for giving such great insights to our listeners. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Seema. I was so happy. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Impactful Introvert podcast. If you want to share your views, opinions, or ask me questions, then please send me a message on Instagram. My handle is Seema Pateel. See you in the next one.